For my install of the rear view camera, I've got to take these panels off underneath the steering wheel. The reason is because the cable coming from that rear view mirror comes across the headliner down the A-pillar along here. It goes around the fuse box, the gem module. So I need to get all that cleaned up, but also I've got to take that kick panel off and this trim strip here in order to get the cable underneath there, behind, and to my point of connection. Getting this beauty situated so I can start the installation of the tailgate. I got to get that back end up in the air. Did a video a while back about keeping these mushroom bins. They're sealed and they're great for sorting parts. To remove this handle, you just need to remove two 10mm nuts off the back and it should fall right through. Here's the old and the new together. And what I'm going to have to do is take this C-clip off to get the lock cylinder off of this one so that I can put it on this one. If you're paying close attention, you should notice that I didn't use the impact driver to run those nuts all the way down to their lowest point. I brought them close within maybe 1/8 of an inch, and then I hand tightened it the rest of the way. I've heard rumors that these things will break if you put too much pressure on them, probably even with the factory. So I tightened it up just enough to make sure that they won't back off and there's no play in this thing. Opens nicely, looks pretty good. As I mentioned in the intro, the nice thing about this kit is that it gives you the option to be able to remove your tailgate by disconnecting from the main wiring harness right here. I took the tailgate off. I'm going to try to fish it through. I'm going to use a flashlight to see if I can grab that wiring harness and pull it through one of these drain holes in the bottom. I've got this thing through. What I need to do is make sure that this is protected from these sharp metal surfaces. They're not really that sharp, but should do something to make sure that it's protected. I'm not going to permanently install this in terms of actually fixing it somewhere here so it doesn't move. I'm going to wait until I get the wiring harness underneath the truck installed. That way I want to make sure that this doesn't have to go under the truck where I have to get underneath it to remove the tailgate to disconnect this connector. I transferred the wiring harness that came from the rear view mirror into the split loom that came with the rear view camera. I'm about to route it underneath the truck. I put this tape on here to protect the end. I don't want to get any dirt or grease in there, which will ruin the performance. I decided instead of going into the vent at the back of the cab, which would ruin the integrity of that vent, I found a plug under the front carpet, and that gets me close to where I need to plug it in. So I'm going to run it from here all the way to the back of the vehicle, and then I got to tap into the backup light. I pulled all the wiring harness through that hole except for the amount I need to get under the dash and reach the connection point. And I'm going to enter the frame right here. That way I can go all the way back along the frame, and that'll keep me away from some high heat sources like the catalytic converters. I've got that wiring harness pulled through underneath the vehicle along the frame rail. And now I've pulled off this tail lamp. I've got the two electrical connectors here, running lights, turn signal, and backup light. And I've pulled the backup light signal wire that goes to the backup camera. And it's real easy to pull that through there. And now it's just a matter of terminating these things. I got to figure out which of these is the backup light to get a positive signal, so when I put it in reverse, it activates the camera. I got everything tie wrapped underneath the vehicle, and now this hole right here had to be closed up, so I took some acoustic material similar to what Ford has here, and put it around this penetration. So that seals it pretty good. It's going to be held in place by the carpet even better. Now I can coil this up and get ready to do the final termination. So now that the tailgate's installed, I wanted to prepare this wire harness that goes to the camera by putting the split loom on this and taping it off. I'm going to pull this into the tailgate through that drain hole to make sure that at least this portion of the cable is protected by the split wire loom. Now that this is pulled in and protected, I'm going to coil this up and tie it off somewhere in the tailgate to make sure it doesn't get pulled back underneath the truck. I've got it coiled off with a zip tie, and that zip tie in the location it's in keeps it from getting pulled underneath here. There's soft edges, so it's not going to get damaged. I've neatly organized this to make sure nothing comes down, and it's easily removable, so you can take the tailgate off. Looks factory except for the blue tape and the red zip ties. And here you can see the excess I've got to pull back up to the dash. Incidentally, just a quick tip, but I put electrical tape to protect the edge of this tailgate because this is my Harley Davidson. I don't want it scratched up. When I put that bed protector on here, it's going to sit on that instead of on the paint, not scratch the paint up. Have all the free and clear access now because I've removed those panels. I'm going to attach those wires after I loom them up nicely to this support for the steering column. Wiring harness is underneath the carpet now. I've got it zip tied to make sure that it stays in place. I won't terminate these yet. I will once I get this bottom panel on to make sure I know how I want this routed underneath the panel. And it's predominantly done. So I've tested it already and it works perfectly, and I'll show you that to you at the end of the video. Now I've got everything buttoned back up, looking good. No wires hanging out. Let's test it out. The final test, which is from one of my subscribers, Dylan, who also helps me with a lot of technical information and is a good online friend, was whether or not you can see your hitch backing up. Now what this does show is that there's a misalignment in terms of the camera. That hitch should be in the center of these markings. It doesn't really bother me that much, but you can see the hitch, so if you're backing up to a trailer, you can definitely see what you're backing up to with this camera setup. Now let's see what it looks like in motion.